Let's jump right in, shall we? Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to try something pretty mind-blowing. We are traveling through 10,000 years of history in one single geographic location, the Korean Peninsula. And the catch? We are doing it without ever moving the camera.
Watch as the same landscape transforms from untouched wilderness into one of the world's most advanced civilizations. That right there is our core premise for today. Every single second we spend together is going to represent centuries of profound change. We'll literally watch a landscape evolve, totally driven by human survival, nonstop innovation, warfare, culture, and honestly, an extraordinary resilience that ultimately forged a nation.
So, 10,000 years ago, we've got hunter-gatherers. Flash forward to 2000 BC, we see agriculture and villages popping up. Then boom, the 7th century and the unification by Silla. To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this chronological leap, just think about this. For roughly 80% of the time we're covering today, life barely changed at all. But once that spark of progress catches, it spreads like wildfire. So buckle up.
Era 1. The dawn of the peninsula.
Just imagine it. 10,000 years ago, this place was a completely wild world of dense, ancient forests, crystal clear winding rivers, and these incredibly rugged mountains. It's calm. It's quiet. The early people living here survived in total, intimate harmony with nature. We're talking about small, tight-knit groups of hunter-gatherers whose daily survival depended entirely on the land. They hunted deer, they caught fish in those local rivers, and gathered wild plants from the heavy brush. For shelter, they built really simple structures using whatever they had: wood, branches, and animal hides. Picture families huddled close around crackling fires, with the smoke just drifting up into the cool morning air.
Era 2. The roots of Korean civilization. So, as thousands of years rolled by and the climate warmed up, communities started getting bigger. Early villages began putting down roots near rivers and fertile valleys. You had children playing between simple homes, and elders sitting together, sharing stories that would literally become the bedrock of Korean tradition. And then, around 2000 BC, we hit a massive turning point: agriculture. Wet fields suddenly reflected the sky as folks worked side by side to cultivate rice. Houses were built stronger with wood, and they started handcrafting pottery just to store all their extra food. And listen, this wasn't just a menu change, this was a total revolution in human power. With surplus food, populations absolutely boomed. For the first time ever, people didn't have to spend every waking second just trying to survive. Step 1. Sharper stone tools. Step 2. Bronze ceremonial objects and weapons. And Step 3. The iron agricultural revolution. Let's speed up our time lapse here, because things are about to move fast. Initially, those everyday stone tools got sharper and way more sophisticated. But then we get the ultimate game changer: bronze. Suddenly, if you controlled the metal, you held the power. Skilled craftsmen were melting glowing metal down to create gorgeous tools, ceremonial objects, and deadly weapons. This let tribal leaders actually defend larger settlements and open up long-distance trade routes, which of course set the perfect stage for that final crucial step: iron. Now, out of these growing, bronze-wielding settlements emerged Gojoseon, the legendary first kingdom of Korea, characterized by fortified hillside settlements and bustling markets. This is a massive foundational moment of statehood. Think wooden walls surrounding rapidly expanding towns perched up on hills overlooking the plains. Inside those walls, absolute bustling chaos. Merchants actively trading grain, pottery, bronze tools, and handmade fabrics. The foundations of a true civilization were getting stronger with literally every passing generation. Blacksmiths worked beside roaring furnaces, shaping iron into weapons and farming equipment. Like I mentioned a moment ago, iron completely rewrote the rules. It didn't just give you a stronger sword, it overhauled the entire economy. Kind of like the Industrial Revolution for the ancient world. Farmers could suddenly produce drastically more food. And because of that massive surplus and the stronger weapons protecting it, the roads became busier than ever. You had travelers, merchants, and diplomats crisscrossing the peninsula, carrying valuable goods and game-changing ideas.
Era 3. The great rivalry of the three kingdoms.
Okay, the vibe shifts dramatically right about now. Those peaceful villages, they've evolved into heavily defended, fiercely competitive states. We're talking massive stone fortresses guarding strategic valleys, royal messengers racing at breakneck speed across mountain passes, soldiers running daily drills with bows, swords, and spears. We have three competing superpowers here. Up north, Goguryeo rises up with these incredibly powerful, imposing mountain fortresses. Down in the southwest, Baekje is flourishing. They're known for elegant architecture and a wildly thriving trade network. And over in the southeast, we've got Silla, defined by the steady, relentless strengthening of its military and culture. It's an all-out competition for dominance, while everyday farmers are just trying to cultivate their rice in the shadow of these imposing castles.
As warfare raged and magnificent palaces rose, which kingdom would ultimately unite the peninsula? It's the big geopolitical puzzle of the era, right? Who actually comes out on top of this massive rivalry? Keep that in the back of your mind for just a second.
The spread of Buddhism. Before we crown a victor, we have to talk about an ideological shift that changed literally everything. Right in the middle of these brutal territorial wars, Buddhism absolutely swept across the peninsula. And it wasn't just a religion. It became this incredibly unifying cultural fabric. While the kings were busy fighting over borders, you had magnificent temples being built up in the peaceful mountains. Monks were meticulously hand-copying sacred texts. Master craftsmen were carving these remarkable statues straight out of solid stone, and giant bronze bells were echoing through distant mist-covered valleys. It was a spiritual and artistic awakening that was building an identity meant to outlast any single ruler.
Capital cities attracted visitors from China and Japan with silk clothing, fine ceramics, and jewelry. Thanks to this massive cultural boom, these cities became insanely sophisticated. We're talking wide, vibrant streets, huge government complexes, and just spectacular royal palaces. The markets were practically overflowing with newfound wealth, showing off delicate silks, master-crafted ceramics, and stunning jewelry to visitors from all over the region.
Era 4. Silla unifies the peninsula.
So, answering that crucial question from earlier, by the 7th century, it was the southeastern kingdom of Silla that actually pulled it off, unifying most of the peninsula. Decades of brutal warfare finally gave way to greater regional stability. And here is the real takeaway. When the fighting stops, progress explodes. Peace acted as a total catalyst. Improved roads and rapidly expanding trade networks meant new ideas and knowledge could spread faster than ever. We see massive advancements in astronomy, literature, engineering, and philosophy. Artists finally had the breathing room to create absolute masterpieces that would end up inspiring generations.
With a unified Korea, what unprecedented achievements and unforgettable moments await in this remarkable new era? The foundation was totally laid for even bigger cities and monumental shifts in power. But looking at this sweeping arc of history leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on. Does unifying a nation actually mean the end of conflict, or does it just set the stage for a completely new kind of struggle? We'll dive into exactly what happens next in our follow-up explainer. Thanks so much for joining me on this wild journey through time, and I'll catch you next time as we continue watching history unfold.